Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley and I have just finished Metal Slinger and I am dying to talk about it. I have so many feelings. If you would like to have a little bit of a review and discussion conversation with me, please keep on watching. My favorite genre to read is fantasy romance, and I am constantly on the hunt for 4 and 5 star fantasy romance reads. I had heard a lot of buzz about Metal Slinger. Now, before Metal Slinger, I had read Quicksliver, and thank you so much if you watched my review of Quicksliver. If you haven't, I'm going to link it up above for you. It is also a really popular romantasy right now. I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. I didn't enjoy it very much, but my experience with Metal Slinger was quite different. It was very much a roller coaster ride. I really looked forward to talking to you about it because I thought I was going to be able to give it a good review. And for the most part, I am going to give it a good review. However, I had a lot of problems with how the book ended. I hated how the book ended. If you could take a moment to subscribe to my channel, that would mean the absolute world to me. It helps me know to make videos like this one. If you could comment down below and tell me what you thought of Metal Slinger. Tell me if you've read any 4 or 5 star fantasy romances this year. I really need more. I am just in love with the genre still, even though I haven't really been having a lot of luck with it. I really appreciate if you could like this video by clicking on that thumbs up button. It would really help me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time. I cannot believe that you are willing to click on videos like this one and spend some time with me. I'm so grateful. So Metal Slinger, let's start off with the cover art. So I don't have a problem with this. I like it. I did not like Quicksliver. The cover was very like emo and I didn't want to be seen carrying that around. Metal Slinger, I generally liked it. I liked the font, I liked the sword and the colors, and I have a positive association with it because I was generally really enjoying my reading experience and eager to pick up that book. So when I see the cover, it reminds me of the story. I think that that cover would look very nice on someone's bookshelf in a featured position, especially if you really enjoyed the book. The title. I am so happy that the title A was connected to the story and B wasn't really derivative. I'm so sick of a blank of blank and blank titles. A court of something, from something. I liked that this was an authentic title and it was different than some of the other titles we've been seeing, and we see this trend with Quicksliver as well. The premise of this book was what really intrigued me, encouraged me to pick it up. We have warring peoples. The losing side is exiled, forever sentenced to live life on the ocean. Not ideal. Once a year, when they're allowed to come to land, and the dominating, oppressing people, they give them access to a market where they can trade, and that literally helps keep them afloat. I was so intrigued by this, and it did not disappoint. We start off being thrown right into the center of the story. We have a literal found family because our main character is an orphan. Her name is Bryn, and she is very close with Kai, who is going to be the future leader of these people. His father is the current leader named Ren. And then we have Messer, and we're quite familiar with this character, sort of the friendly, charming womanizer, but he's loyal to his friends, and he's talented, but he's kind of always getting into trouble. We later find out he has an abusive father. And even his name is kind of cute, like Messer. We have Aurora, who isn't as developed, but that's okay. She's sort of a stoic, grouchy female warrior. She's often pitched against Bryn, so they're not that close. And they go to this market, and through Bryn's narration, you really feel what it would be like to live on water and dream of land and then finally get to see it. I was a little confused as to why a soldier would follow her and then force her to touch a wall and threaten to chop off her hand, but I was going along with it and I knew it would get further developed in the plot. we're back on the boat quite quickly, and I enjoy that kind of found family at sea aspect. It really reminded me of my Fable reading experience. If you've never read Fable by Adrienne Young, I highly recommend. It was a really, really good read. It's probably one of my favorite duologies, Fable and Namesake. So we're on the boat and we get some more insight into the dynamics between Bryn and the rest of the guards who are in training like her. They basically don't like her. They make fun of her and ostracize her because she's essentially an urchin or an orphan. You find out later that Kai and Bryn have a bit of a budding romance. They've stolen kisses over the years, even though touching before you're married is absolutely forbidden as a way to control population growth. They have this whole matching ceremony. Sounds all very believable to me. You know, there's a kind of funny scene where the bully gets like all these cockroaches crawling all over him. It's not clear to me why Messer cares so much about Bryn, but I think it's really nice that he does, and Bryn cares about him. When we get to the actual Alaha, I don't know if we should call it a city, I was really intrigued because I previously thought in my head that if they were living on water, that they would be living on boats, perhaps interconnected barges, something like that, but they're actually living in hollowed out spaces in these giant trees that grow out of the ocean, and I found that really, really fascinating. I really actually could have used even more development of what the Alaha culture was like, given that they are very much people of the sea and live in these trees. I really enjoyed that Bryn has this pet bird, like this giant bird that she kind of gives food to and gives little head scratches to. I liked that a lot. Very quickly, we get our first plot twist. Okay, the story you think you're reading is you have the oppressors, the Kenta, and you have the Alaha, and they're the underdog, and, you know, we've got the classic romance story of the, you know, son of the ruler with the girl from the wrong side of the tracks, and you kind of expect that to be the book you're going to read. It's about how are they going to survive, how are they going to fight the Kenta, etc. And then how are they going to eventually marry, given that they're from two different social classes. But very quickly, the expectations you have for what kind of story you're going to read are turned on their head. And what you end up finding out is that Bryn has been kidnapped by the Alaha. She is actually royalty from the Meili, which is a completely different people who live on land. And you find out there's like a lot of other tribes that live on land. There's the Royersons, and they also live on land as well, including the Kenta and the Meili. Her real name is actually Jovina. She's a princess, and she goes by Jovi for short, or she did before she was kidnapped. Slowly her memories are coming back to her. Atker, who is our main male character and the titular Metal Slinger, basically he's rowed to the road. He has taken a boat to try to check on her and see how she's doing. He comes to the Alaha city and he's held captive. He's going to be killed, but Bryn saves him. It begins the slow burn between those two characters, and we have the classic romantasy switch in the love interest. You find out there's magic in this world and powers. Her has the power to control metal, hence the name Metal Slinger. You find out Kai has the power to control and influence people's feelings and decisions, and that he has been using this power to make Bryn think that she's in love with him. And when Bryn realizes this, she's absolutely devastated. She's going back through her life and reconsidering why she did the things she did and wondering this was because he was magically influencing her. She's looking through her sketchbook because she likes to sketch, and she sees all these pictures she had drawn of Kai. Even though she didn't really want to start drawing faces, she was sort of obsessed and compelled. And she's crying, she's sobbing, she's feeling betrayed. She decides her and Atker are going to get back to land, and she's going to go be reunited with her mother. Okay, now we are into the middle portion of the book, which is spent with Atker and Bryn or Jovi on a boat, very small boat, and they're eating a lot of raw fish, and they're just trying to literally stay afloat because they're being chased by the Alaha fleet. And the bird friend, who now gets the name Blue, he comes along and he's helping them. I sort of like this passage. Again, it reminds me of Fable. I like to see the main character struggle And I liked the time, excuse me, itchy nose. I liked the time it gave for Atker and Bryn's romance to develop, so it was not as insta-lovey as some of the other Quicksilver books are with the main romance relationship. We get on land. Bryn is starting to have her powers awaken, which is making her sick and in fact killing her, so they seek out a healer. The next plot twist happens when they're trying to go to some non-enemy territory. They're in the Royson territory, and the son of the healer finds out that there's a bounty on their head, so he comes after them, and he's in the form of a giant panther, and Blue comes to help, and Blue actually shifts into Messer. So you find out Messer is a shapeshifter, and he was the bird the whole time. He is the abusive father, so he liked hanging out with Bryn in bird form. And you also find out that he is who kept them alive when they were on the water. He would transform into a giant squid and like save them in the storms, and that's basically how they survive. So he's actually a really clutch character. Now, I don't know about you, but sign me up for a friend who is willing to hang out in bird form and just chill with me, and nothing romantic, but super loyal and willing to transform into a giant squid and save me and willing to peck the eyes out of my enemies. I need a friend like that. I need a friend like that. Where can I get one? So we find out that that's Messer. We meet Bo, who is Atker's half-sister, and she can sense people's feelings and also tell whether they're lying or not. Very useful skill. We meet Hallis, who is in a lot of flashbacks, very important friend to Atker and was sort of a friend slash bully to Bryn. He's lost his hand at some point. There's kind of a romance between Bo and Hallis. It's a bit sort of foreshadowed, not quite yet developed. Maybe we'll see more of that in book 2. We eventually make our way to the kingdom, where we meet Atker's father, who is a huge dick. He's kind of an asshole. He makes Bryn kneel. Bryn also meets Greta, who is Bo's mother and a librarian. And all along, up until this point, I was truly enjoying this book. I could not wait to come on YouTube and rave about this book and say, this is a 5-star, please pick it up. It has this, this, and this. You're going to love it. Page turner, good pacing. And like, I was just enjoying the reading experience so much. It wasn't, you know, this deep book that's saying something about society and life and the human condition, but it was really entertaining and it was tight. Now, all of the plot twists up until this point were good. Well done. When we get to the final plot twist, what was that ending? What was that plot twist? I have so many problems with this plot twist. My first problem is that Bryn literally narrates this book and tells us things that contradict that plot twist. For example, when she's first on the boat returning back to Alaha after the market, she's like, Kai, you can't pick me to be your wife. I'm just an urchin. I'm an orphan, and you're going to be the leader of these people. Meanwhile, you find out they knew she was a princess the whole time, and they were going to be in contact with her whole like army and mother, who is a queen. Doesn't make sense. Also, the whole scenes where she's thinking about Kai's betrayal and questioning whether she loved him doesn't make sense. Also, the strength of the bond she felt with Atker, this matching bond where they can barely be apart from one another. Why wouldn't she just talk to him? Why wouldn't she prioritize him above all else? Doesn't make sense. And then Bo's involvement in the whole thing, where did that come from? Totally out of left field, totally not foreshadowed. Again, doesn't make sense. And why Atker would choose his a-hole father over her also doesn't make sense. I am so disappointed that there's a lot of readers who are saying to me, oh, this is such an amazing ending. It blew my mind. Amazing plot twist. How is that an amazing plot twist? It basically contradicts things that happened in the book. And some people, I read some reviews that said, okay, well, Bryn's an unreliable narrator. No, an unreliable narrator tells the story from a biased perspective. From their perspective, they have assumptions and prejudices which shape how they portray what happened. And that's sort of normal because it's all from their perspective. It's all centered around them and what they see and don't see. That is not what we had here. What we had here is the narrator deliberately misleading us, like are we at her and she's trying to pull one over on us? Doesn't make sense, and it's inconsistent with what they tell you about the mating bond. And it's not clear to me that this was the most effective way to help the Allaha people. If she is all close with the Meli, which is her mom's people, why isn't she getting the Meli to send them goods and things? She's like, oh, we're going to be starved out and this is a big problem. Well, why aren't you working with some of the other people to try to help your ocean, sea dwelling people? It doesn't make sense. I'm so disappointed. If I were to rate the book up until that twist, it was a 5-star. If I rate it after the twist, I don't even know. Like, I'm just so upset. I finished that book and I was so frustrated. I feel like that twist was unnecessary. I feel like the twist was just done to have a twist. And I'm really disappointed just in general. I feel like this genre is really letting me down right now. It made me pick up a historical fiction book because I just couldn't deal with any more of this disappointing romantasy. It is my favorite genre. I'm not going to stop reading it, but I feel really conflicted. I feel really conflicted about this book. I will read the second one because I will just try to pretend that ending didn't happen, or that ending makes sense. I think it was very easy to tweak the story so that the ending made more sense. We could have kept that twist and changed parts of the story that were inconsistent with it, or the twist could have been just that Bo persuades Bryn/Jovi to come over to the side of being against Atker's father. It makes me feel very deceived. Like, don't deliberately deceive your reader, and don't try to manipulate my perceptions of the story. J.K. Rowling does really good twists because you can go back and see all the Easter eggs, all the little clues she's left to why the ending is the way it is. That's a really well done twist. And the other twists were pretty good in this story. So I know the author knows how to write a good twist. I was similarly pretty upset with the ending. There was Crown of Oaths and Curses, and then Book 2, Throne of Honor and Blood, had another one of those twists where, what? It doesn't make sense. That is not consistent with what the characters said throughout the book. And I don't know why authors are putting in these twists that basically undo the work that they did in writing these books. I don't get it. I guess there's pressure to have twists in order to get eyeballs on your book. I don't know. Please tell me in the comments down below, what did you think of Metal Slinger? What did you think of the twists in it, especially that twist at the end? Are you going to read book 2 in this series? If you liked this video and you would like to see more videos like this one, hit the like button, give it a thumbs up. If you made it this far, leave me a fish emoji to let me know you watched the whole video. The fish emoji is going to represent the Allaha people and all the raw fish Bryn and Atker ate when they were trying to get to land. If you could, please subscribe to my channel. It would mean the absolute world to me. In the meantime, I wish you happy reading. I hope you have a really good rest of your day. Thank you again for watching. This is Ashley saying goodbye. Bye!